Hello and welcome. My name's Suzanne Campbell. I'm the CEO of the AIIA, and it's my pleasure to be introducing to you a new series of engagements with our members, an opportunity to profile them and to provide you with an insight into their priorities. Today I'm joined by Phil Robertson from NICTA. He's the Chief Operating Officer, and we're looking forward to hearing what he has to say. Phil, recently we launched the AIIA Smart ICT platform. The platform talks about building a sustainable, prosperous Australian economy predicated on the appropriate use of ICT capability. Have you got some insights in relation to that platform that you'd like to share with me?
We work very closely with major industry sectors that are critically important for Australia's productivity, so infrastructure, transport, logistics, and others, financial, government services. And we're finding that, for example, work we're doing in the infrastructure area, we're doing some work with Sydney Water in helping them to better predict where their high-pressure water mains are going to fail. And we can predict, around 50% more effectively than they could using past techniques. And that ends up creating a huge savings in allowing them to better schedule preventative maintenance and not run as many of the costs associated with large-scale failures. And so this is an example of where these modern technologies, in this case advanced data analytics and optimization, can make a dramatic difference to the costs of major infrastructure. The really big gains come from when we start working with them on how their whole business models can be reviewed by looking at a cost to serve rather than a simply operating at maximum efficiency approach. And so these are examples of where we're working with these companies and having a major impact on Australia's future.
Phil, in the Smart ICT platform, we spoke about three major themes: creating a world-leading ICT industry, leveraging broadband infrastructure and enabling mobility, and thirdly, developing exemplar products and services for export. Which of these three themes is most important to NICTA?
By engaging with the industry and the nation's most challenging problems, we find that we typically engage often with other companies who are partly servicing that sector. And we find that what comes out is we help to develop a competitive capability, not just in the end user sector, such as transport or infrastructure, but also in the companies that are then working and providing products and solutions into that sector. And so that helps build out Australia's competitive ICT sector. It's absolutely critical, that. And they're working with real customers on real problems, real challenges, and as a result they become stronger companies and they start servicing multiple customers. And that puts them in a position to then be able to export. So for example, the work we're doing with Sydney Water I mentioned previously is now being applied in the UK as a collaborative exercise. And that's Australian-based technology and expertise, domain expertise, being applied in another country. And so that's the start of a product and service for export.
That's tremendous. So what I'm hearing you say is actually all three themes mesh together.
And they do. And I didn't mention the importance of the broadband technologies and mobility, but in areas such as delivering government services or financial services, where the access to information as it's happening is of paramount importance, is really critical. In the government services, things such as video service delivery, using off-the-shelf standard technologies, low-cost technologies, but based on some smart technology that takes advantage of the WebRTC communications, web-based real-time communications technology standards that's evolving worldwide, can help people put video service desks in different parts of the country, and then they can actually communicate in real time and address a lot of the challenges people have with access to services from not just from remote areas, but also from local kiosks and so on. And that's also the key to effective integration of multiple government services, because often a quick call to an expert or a domain specialist in another government department is all that's needed if it's done in conjunction with an existing dialogue that's taking place. And this is applicable for health services, for other human services.
So as we think about this platform and the three themes, where do you see the specific risks or challenges from an Australian economic perspective?
We have to be involved in this in this whole transformation that's taking place. We have to be involved because our industries have to be competitive. So we really have no choice. We have to be involved because if we don't, we will end up buying expensive solutions from overseas. And if we don't get involved ourselves, we won't develop the local industry capability to meet the various services and solutions requirements there, or to develop the products for export that we talked about earlier. And so, a critical part of NICTA's role is to actually catalyze the early stage engagement. We provide the research base and the capability so that we can engage with these companies or with government agencies or others to get things to the demonstration, proof of concept phase. And then we find industry will pick it up and start paying for the application of this to their own problems. But it's critically important in Australia that we actually get that early stage engagement going and demonstrate what we can do, because it's out of that the spin-outs, the commercial outcomes, either existing companies who pick up on the technology or spin-outs from the work that we're doing. It's out of that creates the future industry base for this country.
Phil, we haven't spoken specifically about skills. I know that NICTA is deeply involved in the Group X program. Is there anything about skills that you'd like to share with us today as well?
So in Australia, unfortunately, we have declining enrolments in the ICT or Information Communications Technologies areas in universities. And there is one place where the enrolments did increase, and that was through a concerted effort that the Group X project did up in Queensland. And they engaged with industry, universities, government, and the research sector to go out to schools and let the kids in schools know the fact that really ICT is what's solving the world's problems, because they don't get that experience, they don't get that awareness. They think of it as someone who fixes your computer,
Yes.
So it doesn't look like an exciting career, but they don't realize that that's what solves the world's big,
Thorniest
challenging,
problems, yes.
environmental, industrial problems, and it's by learning how to become data scientists or engineers, top quality modern software engineers, that they can actually start applying those technologies to solve the world's problems. So that's at the entry end. So we need to get more people into our universities doing university courses in the ICT and related subjects. Once within the universities, we need to have a deeper engagement with those people. And so, as you may be aware, that NICTA works closely with our affiliated universities on developing an enhanced PhD program. And through that program, the PhD students get a chance to work on real industry projects or real national challenge projects and build some commercial skills to understand about intellectual property and how the global industry depends on intellectual property in many ways for how it operates. And they get the chance to actually build the sets of skills that makes them highly valuable employees in the future. And so many of our PhD students go on, they complete their PhD, and they go and work in the companies. They may work in our spin-out companies, they may work in the companies whose projects they're working on. And so they get that experience to be immediately useful, immediately valuable, and knowing that they are actually solving the world's problems. And so the last side of skills is really, we've always had a challenge in Australia engaging the top university academics on the world's, and Australia's biggest challenges, on industry's challenges, and we haven't achieved the engagement we've wanted to. And so what we do is we take the leading university researchers and we engage them directly on industry and national challenges. And the reality is that they love it. And they're extremely good at it. So and it means that we get sort of the state-of-the-art computer science, mathematics being applied to these challenges, developing solutions that are actually a step well beyond what can be achieved with current off-the-shelf technologies. So that's the skills thing is a holistic thing. We can't just look at one part of the pipeline. Yes. We have to look at the whole thing from the very start all the way through to going out and actually working in the sector. And I think in Europe now something like nearly 30% of all researchers are ICT researchers in industry and government. And I think that tells us how critical that whole sector is in transforming the business world and the government world in the future. And so we're not yet there in Australia, but we have to get close to there if we want to keep a competitive and country and with competitive industries and achieve the kind of productivity improvements that we absolutely need to achieve.
Because this is at its heart a challenge around skills, innovation, productivity, sustainable competitive advantage, yes?
It is, and it's critical to actually link those skills directly onto the nation's and the industry's biggest problems,
Yes.
And those major challenges. And if we get that linkage working, that's what NICTA is really about. If we get that linkage working, we can both connect and amplify the research capability, the engineering capability with the end user requirements and end user solutions.
Tremendous. Phil, thank you very much for the insights that you've been able to provide to me and to others in relation to your incredibly important work at NICTA. And it's a pleasure to have spent some time with you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne.